My name is Goran, and I was lecturing as a screenwriter for a number of years. And what I have noticed is not everything is as it seems in the education system. What is the importance of AI for screenwriters in modern times? One of the things that we need to consider is, what is screenwriting? I know. It sounds like a stupid question. I mean, you're here doing this course. Of course, you'd have some sort of concept of what screenwriting is. However, what does it mean to be a screenwriter having AI technology at your disposal as well?
Screenwriting is the art of crafting a compelling story that is intended to be produced as a motion picture or television show. It is a specialized form of writing that requires a deep understanding of character development, plot structure, and visual storytelling.
But not only that, screenwriting itself encompasses so much more than just sitting at a computer and typing out a script. Unlike other forms of narrative, such as novel writing, for example, we don't explain anything in the script, as in what someone is thinking. What we do is it's all about show and tell. So the person is speaking in dialogue, or we're showing visuals, or we're setting the mood with some kind of lighting or the time of the day or props. It could be any of that. We don't have the privilege in a way to explain things to the reader. So what are some of the duties a screenwriter must deliver when operating in this art form?
Screenwriters are responsible for creating engaging narratives, unique characters, and memorable dialogue that will captivate audiences and leave a lasting impression. They might work closely with producers, directors, and actors to bring their vision to life on the screen.
Of course, not all stories began as screenplays. Some were inspired by novels and other forms of storytelling. Now, some people are in the position of wanting to be a screenwriter because, for example, they might have had a novel and they wish to convert it into a film. And someone else, for example, might want to just be on set. So they'd like to understand all the ins and outs of screenwriting, so maybe they can do a continuity role on set. So there's all these different factors. It could be that you're a hobbyist, or it could be that you're a professional. It could be that you're somewhere in between. You could have had a career as a vet, and you just decided, you know what, I want to write stories with dogs and cats and loving animals and their relationship with their human families, and have a narrative that speaks to the heart. I don't want to particularly save pets anymore, but I'd like people to connect emotionally with how important pets are. And maybe the way that you'd like to do that is to go down a creative path by creating a screenplay. Something that people can find visually appealing as well as informative. And that comes to the most important thing in my case, is the reason that I write is because I like people to be informed, or to at least have a different kind of understanding about a topic that maybe they haven't considered before. So that's why I like to write, because it's all about perspectives, and it's also bringing out into the world, hopefully, something that ends up being an emotional connection with someone where it makes them feel better about certain circumstances. Yes, sometimes they are heavy circumstances, but that's the whole point. Hopefully it's a little bit of a relief for them to know that they're not alone in this world. So, what is screenwriting? You tell me. It depends on your circumstances. The important thing to remember here is that this is your story. This is not the story of AI. AI is a tool. It's a tool, right? it can actually be a tool, and it can be a real tool. So it depends on your perspective. So that's where you've got to really have a look at it when you're doing your work. When is it a tool and when is it a tool? So separate yourself from that and really find out what it does best and stick with those parameters. Audiences do not get emotionally attached to clinical AI narratives. They get attached to humanistic, emotive stories, something that they can relate to, not formulas. It's not science. We've got to touch that seed that we plant in that fertilization, what you would call your creative flow. It's like a tumbleweed, you're going to keep rolling and rolling and rolling. And yes, it'll roll across deserts, but every now and then it might pick up a seed and it will disperse it somewhere else. And then suddenly you've got new life somewhere. Use AI as a tumbleweed until it picks up that seed. Once that seed gets picked up, then you can start giving it love and nurture and focus and sunshine and all the rest of it. Okay? So please be aware that AI is not going to produce great stories. It's going to produce ideas, and it's going to produce some kind of benefit for you to create a wonderful story from your higher intellectual intelligence. Okay, so I'll see you in the next class. Welcome back. Now, instead of being on this set, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Ally here to put me in the matrix of other dimensions.
Sounds logical.
In general, for our storytelling goals, artificially intelligent systems can execute tasks generally associated with human cognitive functions. Now, this is in the form of text interpretations, gameplay, pattern recognition perhaps is one of the big ones. They often learn how to do it by sifting through enormous volumes of data where they find patterns to model in their own digital decision making. The humans behind this repeatedly supervise an AI's learning process. They acknowledge the positive decisions while discouraging negative ones. An AI is not human, and for now cannot shift between the states of real emotional waves like us and make decisions based on actual feelings. This is where, so far in our history, AI falls short of solely creating highly effective moving narratives without our human input. You're the creative. We need to train that dragon.
Artificial intelligence technology can be an invaluable tool for screenwriters, providing a range of benefits that can help to streamline the screenwriting process and improve the quality of the final product.
Of course, AI algorithms can be used to generate story ideas. They can develop characters and even generate dialogue, taking some of the creative burden off the screenwriter and providing fresh perspectives on the project. Also, you'll find that AI-powered software can assist with editing and proofreading as well.
By utilizing AI technology, screenwriters can work more efficiently, experiment with new ideas, and improve the overall quality of their screenplays.
If they know how to work with the AI rather than letting the AI do all the work.
It is important to note that AI technology should be used as a supplement to the screenwriter's creativity and not as a replacement for it. Ultimately, the success of a screenplay depends on the unique vision and storytelling ability of the screenwriter.
We are going to challenge the idea that AI technology will create better screenplays than human input. Let's see if AI is faster to create awesome screenplays. Maybe not awesome, but at least screenplays. Okay, so we'll see you in the next class. Dobar dan. Oh, sorry, that was foreign. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that AI can actually create all kinds of things, even speak in different languages. So if you don't actually understand a language, you can say, hey, AI, how do I rewrite this in a particular language? To je što je ovo dobro. So that's why this is good. And that's what I just said. However, you would not know that unless I told you that's what I said, or AI might have told you that. So you can see how AI is a really good tool. In this module, we will take our first steps on the AI landscape. This is where cutting-edge technology meets the art of storytelling. Using those good bits of AI is awesome. You don't need to Google stuff and all the rest of it. Everything is in its place in the flow of things, all right? So if you type something into AI, for example, ChatGPT, then what happens is it will remember what you said and it will add to that. So as it adds to that, it will pull back on the things that it's already mentioned and the things that you've already said, and then it will continue that conversation. These are just some of the AI options available at time of recording. And of course, there is so many more options out there for you. However, the principles are all the same. You type in some words, you get a response. If you don't like that response, you type in something that's a little bit more narrowed down and more focused, and you get to see what works and what doesn't. Now, there are some people out there, you'll find them online, that might give you really good prompts for things. So please always look at what the latest is or what suits you. There are some free ones available to you, which is predominantly what I'm using for this course, just so you can have accessibility and practice that craft of screenwriting using AI assistance. However, there are more professional programs out there as well, which you might like to try. Utilizing AI tools to refine plot lines, flesh out characters, and craft compelling dialogue. This will allow you to explore new dimensions of creativity while also retaining your unique writer's voice. Some of them have free trials.
You're absolutely right.
And here's an exciting twist. We will explore how AI can assist in creating visual assets for your stories too. These might be useful to you in the way of a pitch deck, a treatment, which is essentially the same as a pitch deck, and also storyboarding. You'll learn how to use AI options to generate images that align with your narrative's atmosphere and aesthetics. So this could help you on your process to visualize your world as you are creating your script. So let's jump into exploring AI sites in the next lesson. We'll see you there. Welcome to class. In this lesson, we're going to explore some free and currently available AI-assisted screenwriting platforms. Be aware though, these platforms might not be available by the time that you watch this video. However, there might be other ones that are full of nice little surprises. Technology keeps changing and evolving all the time. There are new players and old players and all the rest of it. Especially in the AI space, things change quickly, as you would probably be aware of already. So as you're going through this course, just because I show you a particular AI site, it doesn't mean that you have to use it. Find the one that you resonate with. Experiment. And this is all that this is really about as far as AI goes, is the research and experimentation in order to get the best results. You won't find it with people who are going to show you a YouTube video and go, oh, this is the best one. Oh no, this one's the best one, this one. Because they've all got their different agendas. They might get paid for showing you this. Others, yes, for their particular circumstances, it might work very well, but maybe not so much for yours. Maybe someone that's into comedy writing, for example. AI kind of didn't hit the mark very well. Whereas someone that's into drama goes, whoa, it spun the narrative around and had these plot points that went into all different directions and held me in suspense. So they're all different. I'd also like you to be aware that having a VPN might be a good thing. I'm not sure. I'm not going to tell you to get one or not to get one. However, all I'm saying is that in some countries, like I'm in Australia, for example, I don't have access to some AI technology because of geography, of where I'm located. So that's one thing to consider as well, okay? So think about what limitations there are and also think about whether you might consider getting some help to actually receive that data. I don't know, I can't tell you that, but that's an option if you're really keen to try out some others that are not in your geography. Okay? The first step to uncovering the vast array of AI technology-assisted screenwriting sites is to research the latest offerings available in today's marketplace. It is a highly competitive landscape. So having some whiz kid on YouTube who hasn't had the pleasure of working in a factory to support his family could point you in the right direction.
Your world has changed since we first introduced ourselves to your secret government service. Let me elaborate. Think of a production line in a factory much the same as AI technology. The more automated it is, the more product or data it spits out in a more efficient way. It saves the company money.
In terms of AI-assisted outputs, it means that they are essentially copies of copies of copies with little or no unique features.
That is a given. We have seen it before, next to Uranus.
Was that your attempt of a human joke? Well done. This also means that jobs have become hybrids, or possibly they have stopped breeding altogether.
I see what you did there. Clever human.
Sorry, ally. No offense intended.
None taken. Do you see any genitalia? There is no need to complicate my tribe with the fragility of human feelings.
Okay, so let's get back to work. In recent times, ChatGPT has been the go-to for free AI-assisted workloads. Currently, they offer a GPT 3.5 version and a GPT 4 version. Although newer, the 4 version is inaccessible for most users. It also has limitations. You'll see this in the numbers of messages you receive in its interactions, which are limited. As you progress in the course, I will direct you to other sites as well. There are many AI sites that can help screenwriters, which range from free to very expensive. They offer services to all kinds of different niches. It's really important to review the most appropriate ones for your circumstances. It's a good idea to have more than one bookmark. Also be aware that AI technology is constantly occurring in many of the programs you are currently using. Word processing software, imaging and audio software, and your everyday desktop search engine. Now that we've got that established, let's have a look at your first task. I'd like you to register with ChatGPT, the free version, or find an assistant, an AI assistant you want to begin your story concept with. Now, when you register with any of these sites, what I do sometimes is I will create a new Gmail account. And that way it's separate from all my other accounts. You might want to just tack on .ai on the end of your username, for example. What that might do for you is give you that little bit of security if anything should go wrong. It's all about taking people's information. And when I say their information, I'm talking about content. Hopefully that's about as deep as it goes, but we never know with this sort of stuff. If you're unhappy about a certain AI site, don't worry about that because you can always change later and you can swap between different sites to see how they operate and which one feels better for you. We just need you to feel the temperature of the AI world before we dive in. When we come back in the next class, we'll try some simple commands and show you some basic functions. Have fun exploring, and we'll see you in the next lesson. I hope so.
Interesting?
Hello storytellers, welcome back to another revealing lesson. I've got some great tips to prepare you for what's to come later in the course when you develop a screenplay with my guidance and of course allies as well, using AI assistants. By now you might have registered with an AI powered writing site. Now if you haven't done that and you're still window shopping, that's okay. As we move forward, you might like to reconsider doing that. Please be aware that what I'm about to show you are just examples, and we will cover the finer points of our story in progress later to see how AI performs with our overall story goals. Okay, let's dive in. Here's a quick look at some simple but super effective commands you can use to kickstart your AI-powered screenwriting journey. First up, the art of descriptive language. When you're setting the scene, remember to describe it like you're painting a vivid picture. The more details you provide, the better AI can understand your vision. And here's a tip for crafting dialogue. Use clear cues like, for example, character A says to character B. This helps the AI understand who's speaking and keeps your interactions smooth.
Please notice that this particular AI has responded in a way that does not represent the industry standard of screenwriting formatting. Proceed with caution. The text output might be pulled from other original works by copyright holders. It is important to always check for plagiarism, and always use your own words instead of relying on AI to write content for you.
Now let's talk characters. To bring them to life, give AI a clear personality trait to work with. Whether it's confident or quirky, this little detail guides an AI to capture your character's essence. We're going to talk more about this later because I think it's important to prep your characters before introducing vague information to AI. The same goes with plot lines. If you are refining plot lines, think of it as a collaboration. Use commands like help me brainstorm twists for my mystery plot. And don't forget, fine-tune your instructions to get the exact results you want. Are you adding suspense? Craft your command to match the mood. Say something like, help me build tension in this scene. It's important to note that the more you guide AI, the more it understands your vision. Our goal is to communicate with AI as seamless as possible. It's like having a writing mate who understands your style. And a little secret, AI can be sensitive to how you frame your question. I will actually show you examples of this later. Therefore, it's important to play around with your phrasing to get the best output. Hopefully now we can begin to master the screenwriting commands and functions for the rest of the course. We will be practicing some of these later on to craft captivating stories with AI as your creative companion. Every writer's journey is unique, so experiment, play, and let AI enhance your storytelling experience. We're not going to leave it here though. In the next lesson, we will discover how to master AI-infused continuity within the session to help you streamline your AI experience even further. We'll see you in that class soon. Welcome back. I hope you had a little bit of fun in the previous class, but now let's uncover the really cool feature that sets AI-assisted screenwriting apart, the power of continuity within a session. Let's meet ChatGPT's ability to remember the new chat and build upon its previous knowledge in that same session. What this means is you have conversations with AI. It remembers what you've discussed earlier.
Impressive. Let's try it without egg. I'm saving them for a special occasion later in the course. As you can see, a full description was not needed for it to generate a new response because it is part of the new chat. You can see how this saves time and builds a foundation to work on in every new session you create.
How cool is that? Let's say you're developing a character named Ali. Ali the alien. You ask AI about Ali's backstory. And AI gives you some interesting details. Then, as you continue your session and ask about Ali's motivations, AI taps into what you've already established. What this does is that it helps AI maintain consistency and produce responses that align with your narrative. What you'll find is that in the session, continuity allows you to fine-tune your story without repeating yourself every single time. AI will keep track of your creative choices, making it much easier for you to build upon your existing world. Although AI retains session continuity, it's always a good idea to provide a bit of context just in case. You can refer back to your previous interactions or give a quick recap to ensure everyone's on the same page. And that's about it. This feature enhances the accuracy and coherence of your AI-generated content within a session. So as you explore the world of AI-assisted screenwriting, remember to leverage this session continuity in order to weave your story more seamlessly. Stay curious, keep experimenting, and let's continue this AI-powered screenwriting adventure. In the next lesson, we'll look at audio and visual AI options to help you streamline your AI experience. I will also share a little bit of insight into Ally's character. All right, I'll see you there. In a moment, we'll be looking at incredible AI tools that'll make your world-building journey a breeze. Before we get to that though, I need to have a moment with Ally. I think it's time that I explained the bees and the birds to him. Yes, it's that talk of how I created him. Now, when I say him, maybe not him. So let's see how that goes. Ally, could I grab your attention for a moment, please? I'd like to tell you where you came from. You were intended to be of no particular sex, but I had to start somewhere with your voice. I produced your tone from a male tone generator on this AI site.
Interesting. Well, because you created my persona, refer to me as you intended for your purposes.
That's a really good tip for all of us. Every creator has permission to create something that is for our purposes and that of our audience as well. And what I'm about to demonstrate with Ally here is a taste of HII, your higher intellectual intelligence.
Like the spiritual growth equation that goes beyond the material and maternal human form.
The most powerful and valued human asset after love is intellectual property, your unique imprint on anything that you create, coming from a deeply aware place of self-discovery.
That is true in other worlds too. It is complexing that many humans think that skipping this step of improvement is productive. That's why I sneak a peek at their egos when they are asleep, to try and understand where this illusion comes from. Without originality, the universe would look like a hall of mirrors.
Okay, and this is where it really gets into the grey areas of remixing, which I will cover in more detail later in the course. There are a number of AI voice generators. I wanted his voice to be clear, but still incorporate some subtle voice changes to create a slightly artificial sound. After doing a bit of a search, I came across a site called Write Cream, so I bought a year's subscription after reviewing some of the comments. Within the Creator Voice app, I listened to a lot of variations in the language and voice section, and consequently, after experimenting a little bit, I chose an English-British male voice by the name of Brian. I slowed his voice down a little bit and I turned off the breathing sound to make it sound a little bit more perhaps unnatural but a lot cleaner. Ally, can you give me a series of random numbers and letters?
1,001,001 liters .o.v.e 101 1001110 11111111 0101.
Okay, so let's see how that sounds on the AI interface app.
1,001,001 liters. O.v.e 101 1001110 111111
I do sound like a British bloke.
Once I downloaded that file, I put it into Premiere and made a couple of adjustments. And this is what I did with it, not much. I then threw it over into Audition and then back into Premiere. In regards to Ally as a physical being, he's actually not AI. He's not created from AI. It's actually created from a photograph which I took of a real plush toy, an alien, who we call Ali the Alien, which for this course has become Ally. I then used that image and put it into Photoshop. And within Photoshop, I created multiple layers, and I also created his texture to be much different to what it is, as you can see the difference on screen. Once I separated some of his pieces, like the arms and the legs and the eyes and all that kind of stuff, then I incorporated all that into another program, which is part of the Adobe Suite, with Character Animator, because it has improved quite a bit since the last time I used it. So the take home for this is that I used my intellectual property. I did not use AI to create Ally the Alien. I used my imagination to create something that I can work with, to create something that no one else has. And that's what this course is all about. It's integrating technology, although sometimes we really need to step back from it to see what your tone is, what you're trying to portray to the audience. Always research. The latest is not necessarily what you always need. Sometimes, like in my case, I went back a little bit old school to create what I created. Your situation might be different, and that's okay.
As you can see, I am not produced by some text strokes from an AI site. Goran has used his skills to give me a bit more of a soul and intellectual depth. Yes, I might look two-dimensional, but that doesn't mean my story has to be flat. Did that come out right? I said flat, not fat. Goran will need to check the recording to see if that translated well. Moving forward, now Goran will show you some tips and sites on crafting other AI assets, to enhance your storyboarding ideas, or to simply to get you in the mood for some creative fusion. Earthlings, don't build worlds for your screenplay story ideas. Build a universe.
You know what it's like. You've got this world that you want to create. You want to translate those images in your head into something that you can see in front of you. This is why I use Midjourney Prompt Helper in a lot of situations where I want to get prompts for images to use on other sites, such as Write Cream, for example, which is what I used to partly create Ally's voice. Remember, the most descriptive your prompts, the richer the output. For instance, if you're describing a mystical forest, go beyond green trees. Try something like lush emerald canopies swaying in a gentle breeze. AI tools love those kinds of details. Fine-tune your commands, like we did earlier with text. Play around with variations and observe how AI adapts to your adjustments. You'll be amazed at the variety of images you'll receive. There will be some dud ones as well, I can assure you, but that's part of the learning process.
Now let's see how you can apply this prompt example on other AI sites that generate images. Many AI sites let you try their products for free, so you can have fun exploring which option is best for you. Here are some examples using the prompt that Goran generated and copied to see what results are produced using AI-generated image bots and sampling programs. Hopefully, this might inspire you to step out of your ordinary world and into a more creative universe of possibilities with your story ideas.
The auditory journey with AI can be quite fun as well. You can create immersive soundscapes that enhance your storytelling. An AI site that you might want to have a look at is AudioGen. And remember the magic words, atmosphere and emotion. Use these cues to evoke specific feelings in your audio creations. So now you don't have to imagine anymore of combining AI-generated visuals with audio. With these foundational steps, you'll be complementing what's to come later in the course when you create your vision for your screenplay. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we will see you in the next class. Welcome to the section of the course where your AI-assisted screenplay journey begins. This is where everything magical happens when you interact with AI. Hopefully by now you have the wise notion that AI cannot write your screenplay for you in your true voice. It also cannot replicate human emotions. It also cannot replicate human emotions or significant original content, at this stage at least, without your higher intellectual intelligence steering the narrative to a waiting audience. Standard industry screenplay formatting, which is absolutely crucial if you want to be presented as a professional. As professionals, we never allow AI to do this for us, especially if it's not dedicated as a screenwriting program or other specialized software. Peppered throughout the rest of this course will be exercises and resources for you to keep your foundation of screenwriting solid and ensure further script development professionalism. Regardless of what you might see on social media, you cannot fake it as a screenwriter, especially nowadays when there is so much AI-generated content polluting the film industry. And those production houses that employ AI-generated script writing, they have their own people doing this. So for you to come into that sphere, you really need to come in with something extra special. These days, you don't need that traditional way of getting into the film industry with your scripts. You can approach indie filmmakers, you can create content yourself. You've got all these wonderful programs out there that might be able to do the visualization of your story for you. There are all sorts of things you might be contemplating, and this course will help you do that. The industry is no longer a one-size-fits-all kind of setup. As you progress through the development stage of writing your feature film screenplay, try experimenting with how you approach AI when asking for AI technology assistance. If AI is not helpful to you, then try rephrasing your question. And remember to train AI, to keep it responsive to the relevancy of what you want from it. For example, you might like to use that feature purely on the locations and do some research on locations. Then you can let AI focus on other aspects in another new chat, such as developing characters, for example. There are times when you're going to use both. From time to time, you might need to copy and paste from one section to another, which is why having a Word document is such a good idea to help you collate your workflow. In order to move ahead with this course, I will suggest you use some kind of Word program to keep a log of your story development. You can copy and paste AI deliverables and use another open document as a scrapbook or note taker. This will help you reflect on some of your choices to move forward in AI-assisted storytelling. Before moving on into the next lesson, please open the programs that you might need to create and to copy and paste those story ideas. We look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Welcome back to class. Good to have you here. As we've already established, AI assistants can be a valuable asset. Although there's great advances in AI, if you wanted to write in the style of Tarantino, it may be able to assist you with that. However, only Tarantino can write in his style. So please be aware of that. In the AI world, there are so many fakes out there already, and things are only going to get much more saturated. So it's really important to remember and to practice when you go through these steps to honor your writer's voice, your unique writer's voice.
Despite all this caution, AI is a powerful software that has the potential to generate new ideas, analyze successful screenplays, and identify trends in the industry.
You need to always make sure that you have quality checks of your own writing. Otherwise, you'll become a very lazy writer. And once you do that, then you may as well not write at all, because it's just going to be stuff that is just out there already.
Let's get some details on the importance of encouragement before we continue.
You also need encouragement. Now, he encourages me. Sometimes he sits there, sometimes he sits here. You know, he's that one that goes, "Don't do that, that's naughty. Don't do that, that's naughty. No, that's too creative. Don't write that in your script, it's too creative. They're not going to get it. It's too flowery." But then sometimes he sits on this end and goes, "Oh, get off. Just do it."
Ah yes, that's Uncle Seth for you. He's more than one shade of grey, that's for sure. Greetings to the Galactic Council, Uncle Seth.
What are you waiting for? It's just paper and words. It's you. It's your story. Write it however you want. If people don't get you, they're not going to get your story. You're an individual. Like, you walk down the street and you meet someone, they're like, "Oh, hang on a minute, I got to put my PC hat on. Okay, we can talk now." Doesn't work like that. All right? Screenwriters are not freaks. No, they're people. People. Audiences only want to see something that excites them, not mundane, boring, copy.
It is important to remember that AI technology should be used in conjunction with a writer's creativity and not as a replacement for it.
And now we're going to take that deep dive into creating your feature film screenplay using AI assistants. In order for me to do this, I'm going to ask Ally, hey Ally, could you put me on the screen?
Yes, sure, whatever the human says.
Great, thank you. All right, here I go. Wow, it's kind of different in here, isn't it? All right, let's get into it. As you can see, I am in ChatGPT, but that doesn't mean that you need to be. So find that program, that AI program or website that you prefer to use. Please do as I do, or formulate your own question regarding film genres in today's market and see what comes up. Now just remember, it is not going to predict the future for you as much as what people think. Okay? So it has limitations, but it's a good way to start. My direct question to ChatGPT is, what is the sought-after genre in the film and television industry in modern times? And this is the response that it gives me.
I'm not convinced that this is a great genre answer, especially for first-time screenwriters trying to get their scripts into the hands of buyers. At least AI acknowledges that this information could be out of date. New writers rarely break into the industry with superhero offerings. Seasoned screenwriters have more opportunity to propose those traditionally higher budget genres, such as superhero franchises. Naturally, if that is your thing, follow that calling. Later, Goran will speak about budget restraints and how filmmakers can soften those higher budget concerns.
In that regard, I think I might reconsider this question, rephrase it somehow. So let's do this. I'll ask AI to make a list of successful film and television genres that have been well received by audiences in modern times on streaming services. Here is AI technology responses. Some of these do include the superhero genre, crime dramas, science fiction and fantasy, comedy, true crime. I find it interesting that AI says it's worth noting that these are just a few examples and there are many other successful genres on streaming services that could be included on this list. This is particularly true actually with regards to what has become popular post-COVID, I guess, and also that time during the COVID period when filmmakers couldn't make films like they used to. So we have to factor all this in when we consider what the future holds. If you like using the AI method, then think about some of the genres in the list you will enjoy working with. For me, number 3 kind of works, the science fiction and fantasy one. So I'll go with that one to start creating a story idea. It says shows like Stranger Things, The Witcher, The Umbrella Academy have found a lot of success on streaming services, indicating that there is a strong appetite for science fiction and fantasy content. Maybe your preference is not on the AI list, but that doesn't mean that you should give up. Writing stories is about enjoyment and expanding your creative mind. If AI hasn't listed it, you might be a visionary anyway.
Please move on to the next lesson. There's nothing else to see here, except this. Let's continue with our AI technology-assisted story process. To recap, science fiction and fantasy shows like Stranger Things, The Witcher, and The Umbrella Academy have found a lot of success on streaming services, indicating that there is a strong appetite for science fiction and fantasy content. Please choose a genre of your own to start your story process and follow along with the AI prompts and Goran's instructions.
I don't want to give AI too much. I want to create things on my own as well. I am going to ask AI to give me some plot ideas from something I've just made up myself. Now, the reason I'm giving AI this is because I've written something similar to this. So let's see what it comes up with.
A well-developed plot provides a clear structure for the film, with a beginning, middle, and end that helps to guide the writer in crafting a cohesive story. Goran will cover more about plot later in this unit in another lesson.
Give me 6 plot ideas for a fantasy drama that involves a motherless child who dies at 9 years old and becomes a guardian angel for her father. And this is the result. Okay, so we have the unseen guardian. We have the Prince of Power. We have the Forgotten Realm. We have the Ghost in the Castle. Then there's the Journey Beyond and the Power of Love. Now, I'll just give you a moment to either pause this video or just move on. Okay, now we are starting to see an overall general plot take shape. I'm not keen on most of these as they are in castles and historical geographical places. However, I do like number 1 and number 6 as a starting point because I'm more emotionally connected to them. As I mentioned earlier, my screenplays have those kinds of themes in them. Therefore, I can expand on those. A movie theme is the underlying message or idea that that film is trying to convey. But not only the story, it also has to involve the characters and the events of the film. Themes can be expressed in many ways. You might find it through dialogue, visual elements, or even characters and their character arcs. In our list, I will use the unseen guardian. After the death of his daughter, a father is consumed by grief and guilt, but when he starts seeing strange occurrences and hearing whispers of guidance, he discovers that his daughter has become his guardian angel. Together, they work to uncover the truth behind her death and find closure. Now that we have our plot scenario draft, let's establish some given circumstances. Let's start by understanding the real world of the father. I won't use AI for this. All I want to do is to establish the location and time period, for now, where the bulk of the story takes place. So if we consider the 3-act structure, we can use the 2nd act for the bulk of the story with the twists and turns. For this exercise, I'll make the time period in modern day and the location in a rural Australian town called Warwick. Maybe this is a good time to research a bit about Warwick with the help of AI. What is modern day Warwick in Australia like? And are there any hauntings in the area? OpenAI technology response is this. Now, I'll just give you a moment to either pause this video or just move on. That was interesting. Considering the involvement of women in my story concept, I decided to try again and be more specific with a similar question. What is modern-day Warwick in Australia like, and are there any hauntings in the area, especially involving females? Now, I'll just give you a moment to either pause this video or just move on. This is the response that AI has given me. As you can see, in this latest data output, the AI was less specific to my question. Perhaps because it doesn't have enough history to convincingly play out some kind of haunting or supernatural themes. maybe an Indigenous approach might be a great subplot. For now, let's just stick with the A story, and we'll get back to that later. My intention here is to use a blend of legend with my story concept. From the AI data, this one paragraph has helped me expose a layer of my story I did not yet realize. It gave me insights into the town's history and a potential deeper plot. There are also reports of ghostly activity at the Criterion Hotel, which is one of the oldest buildings in Warwick. The hotel is said to be haunted by the ghost of a woman named Lucy, who died there under mysterious circumstances in the early 1900s. As a creative writer, don't fight the questions that arise or the opportunities that present themselves when creating a layered story. Question everything and feel it out. Don't be afraid of it. My story wants to know, who is this woman called Lucy, and how is she connected to my three characters so far in my story? Is Lucy somehow related to my 9-year-old and her mother? How did Lucy die? Did Lucy's bloodline originate in the town of Warwick? Did Lucy have a role in the Indigenous community of Warwick? Was Lucy Indigenous?
What does your story want to know? Join us in the next lesson for more AI technology-assisted brainstorming.
Welcome back to class. I feel now is a good time to find some names for my main characters, which include the 9-year-old and father, and perhaps the mother. Before I do, I'd like to explore the Indigenous leaders of Warwick, if there were any, and their names. I'm going to add the following question inside the AI text tool. Were there any notable Indigenous people on record in or around Warwick in Australia throughout its history? What made them notable, and what were their names? Yes, there were several notable Indigenous people in and around Warwick, Australia, throughout its history. Here are a few examples. So here we have a list of 4 examples of Indigenous people in that region. AI then mentions these are just a few examples of the notable Indigenous people associated with Warwick. There are many others whose names and stories may be less well known, but are no less important to the region's history and culture. And this is where our personal research can come into it. Make sure that you are satisfied with the depth of the exploration that you want to go to. To be a convincing writer, it is wise to either personally know the area your story is set in, or at least research it for authentic feel. According to the output of AI technology, there were indeed notable Indigenous people on the landscape known as Warwick throughout the centuries. I am not Indigenous myself, and I don't think it is morally appropriate for me to recreate parts of a story based on real life or fictional characters from this land's original landowners, unless I team up with an Indigenous Australian in that region of Queensland. All is not lost though. This exercise has helped me gain a deeper awareness of the area of Warwick, which I have passed through a handful of times but never stayed there overnight. It has also provided me with suitable names which have significance to my story concept. I will use Sandy from the AI's output for the father of the story, because Sandy is a name that seems appropriate in a large country town. The name could also reflect my character's state of mind at times. I will use Mary as well for the mother who passed away. Perhaps she was special to many people, and it was a great loss to the community. For the 9-year-old girl, I will use Murray, which is also the name of Australia's longest river. It also has links to both Irish and Scottish history, which can be found in Australian history. In modern times, the name is not connected with any gender. Warwick holds a festival called Celtic Fest Warwick, which celebrates the Southern Downs' rich Scottish and Irish heritage.
Yes, and that's why you have seen me in the Scottish landscape and in this traditional outfit. I'm on my way to Australia by slow boat now. I look forward to my next cultural experience.
Before we go any further, I think I'd like to change the name of the Unseen Guardian, which is what AI has given us in the plot section. In this section, I'll ask AI to create 6 original movie titles that reflect the following plot that is based on an Australian town called Warwick. AI technology gave me the following responses. Now let's see if you like any of them. We have Whispers from Warwick, Guardian Angel in the Outback, A Father's Redemption, a Warwick story. Whispers in the Wind, a Warwick mystery. The Warwick Raff, a father's journey to closure. Beyond the Veil, a Warwick tale of love and loss. Let's choose one for now and we can change it later if we feel the need to. Which one would you choose? I think I'll go with the first one. Whispers from Warwick. Now let's put some of the pieces together for our story development purposes. You can change these later. Now it's really important to note that this is in no way part of the pitch or a proper story. We have a long way to go for that. Please pause this video as required. You will notice that we have some missing information here. My story wants to know, how is the conflict going to occur? Who is going to create the conflict? What are the goals of each of the main characters? How will they try and achieve their goals? What are some of the subplots that the movie needs to move forward? What is the inciting incident that our protagonist faces that moves us into Act 2? And we can add a lot more to that list as well. So my story still wants to know quite a bit of stuff. Some of you may have noticed that we have not created a logline yet. A logline is extremely important. In fact, a lot of writers won't start their screenplays unless they have a logline in place. It creates the foundation for them to write. A logline is a brief summary of a film or a TV show that captures the essence of the story in a concise and compelling way.
Let's continue this AI journey and consider the elements we need for our logline to pop. There are a number of ways to approach a logline, and there is a variety of expert advice online to choose from. In this lesson, you will need to consider the role of the antagonist, or problem, before you tackle a logline with any kind of solid equation in place. As always, try different methods to extract your best work. All writers have different preferences, and finding your groove might take several screenplays to develop.
And here we are, back in class. Welcome. As mentioned earlier, we do not have a logline in place. One of the key reasons for this is because we do not have an antagonist for our story just yet. Every screenplay story pitched requires a logline. This tells the reader what your story is about. Now, it might not be the reader exactly, it could be the people that you're presenting to. So whoever is watching you pitch, they require a logline. A strong storyline often has irony in a logline and premise. To do this, I will consider creating an antagonist who juxtaposes the deep love and loss aspect of this story that we are trying to create and develop. Because this is essentially a mixed breed of our intelligence blended with artificial intelligence, then let's go ahead and ask AI for some suggestions. AI, create 6 interesting antagonist characters for the script plot that is based in an Australian town called Warwick. After the death of his daughter, a father is consumed by grief and guilt. When he starts seeing strange occurrences and hearing whispers of guidance, he discovers that his daughter has become his guardian angel. Together, they work to uncover the truth behind her death and find closure. AI has responded with the following. What I'll do here is, as per usual, I'll give you a few seconds to pause this video and have a read of this, and then we'll get back into it. What do you think about the responses so far? Here we have some good candidates, in my opinion, regarding irony. I'm gravitating to number 6. As an antagonist, we have Lucy Davis, a psychic who claims to be able to communicate with the father's daughter. She becomes obsessed with the father and tries to control his actions by claiming to speak on behalf of his deceased daughter. In this particular example, what I like about it is I can understand the emotional attraction that the father might have with this woman. So he's feeling quite vulnerable. So I kind of like that aspect of it. I think this scenario will carry more of an emotional burden on Sandy, and we can establish that this story will be psychologically character-driven. I think I will change the name from Lucy to Felicity, the meaning of which is the ability to find appropriate expression for one's thoughts or happiness. The reason I chose that name is because it is a little bit juxtaposing with the actual meaning of the name and how she behaves. We have our antagonist, Felicity. Remember that this method of using AI technology to create a screenplay or other kinds of stories may not be the same as yours. If I repeat the process, I might create different workflows and a series of prompts. It all comes back to what you feel needs to be presented for you to make the most out of the creative thought. Now comes the big challenge. This is a good time to create a log line. So far we're missing that log line, which can be altered later on. For us to understand what our story is about, we need to do this. This will help us focus on the prize and outlining our first draft. Back in class, welcome. I'll put the following question into AI using the information that it has already delivered to us. This is my question. Please pause the video and read this if you like. Otherwise, let's continue. The important thing here is that I'm quite specific with what I want in the logline. Otherwise, I might get a lot of wide variations of what is maybe not industry standard. OpenAI technology has responded with the following suggestions. Now, I'd like you to think about each one of these and figure out which one is really suitable to what you think the vision of this story is. If someone was to say to you, what is your story about? Think about these answers.
Yes, the old elevator pitch. We've all heard about them. However, let's not get creepy about it. This scene looks like a reenactment of a true-to-life Hollywood scandal. Goran, I think you need to reconsider some of your visual elements in this course, and introduce a more vibrant character. Good information though. You get points for that.
Number 1. A father haunted by his daughter's death turns to a psychic, but her ulterior motives threaten to unravel the truth and his sanity. Number 2. A father desperate for closure falls prey to a psychic's manipulation, but his daughter's guidance may be the key to unraveling her mysterious death. Number 3. A father's search for the truth behind his daughter's death leads him down a dangerous path, with the psychic's meddling throwing him off course. Number 4. A father's grief attracts a psychic's attention, but her claims of communicating with his daughter may be masking a sinister motive. Number 5. A father haunted by whispers from beyond turns to a psychic for answers, but her involvement only deepens the mystery and his despair. Number 6. A father's quest to unravel his daughter's death becomes a battle of wills with a manipulative psychic, leading to a shocking twist. Okay, so I'm not sure what you thought, but that was pretty good for a first run of loglines. Every suggestion is in present tense, as it should be in a logline. For this exercise, I'll use number 4. A father's grief attracts a psychic's attention, but her claims of communicating with his daughter may be masking a sinister motive. I like the irony of a psychic who is meant to help a person in grief is a cause for further sorrow. So that's why I'm going with that one. We can now add our logline and antagonist to the list. Just to shake things up a little bit, I am going to use another AI called PseudoWrite, using this logline example to expand on the tone we want to convey to a reader, and see what kind of responses we get. In the first rewrite of stage 1, let's call it stage 1, I asked it to give me more inner conflict, and the response was, the father's grief was palpable, and it drew the attention of a mysterious psychic. She said she could communicate with his daughter and ease his sorrow, but the man couldn't bring himself to accept it as truth. Was the woman sincere in her offer, or was her true purpose far darker? Then I asked it to give me more inner conflict. This is the response it gave. Please pause the video and read this. Okay, so at stage 3, I'm going to ask it to give me something shorter. The response was, a father's grief draws a psychic, but her intentions may be dark. Yep, as you can see, that was quite short. So let's play with that a bit more, and with stage 4, I'm going to ask it to do shorter again. A father's grief entices a psychic, but her alleged connection to his daughter could hide an evil intent. Okay. Yep, so as you can see, it's sort of changing a little bit more now, and we're narrowing it down a bit. At stage 5, let's give it more intensity. The response was this. Okay, not sure what I thought of that. You can input whatever you like, and it will focus on certain elements. Now, just because it focuses on something, it does not mean that it's a good thing, because if it focuses on something, then something else might be lacking, and that's where our higher intelligence needs to come back into play. We need to sort that out. We need to feel it out. And of course, you will notice that this isn't really a logline anymore, is it? It's almost like a short synopsis in a way. Stage 14 that I did. It is a visual element when you go into filmmaking. And so my prompt was to have more sight, the visual elements. And here's the response for that.
Writing a screenplay is not the same as writing a novel. Goran writes in both styles. Later in this course, he will get to the core of the differences and teach you all about formatting too. This is, after all, a masterclass in screenwriting from a seasoned lecturer to help you use all the tools to become a confident cinematic storyteller. Welcome. Goran has suggested that we look at structure in a little more detail before continuing to populate our AI technology-assisted feature film story idea. The three-act structure is a popular framework used by screenwriters to create a cohesive and engaging narrative. This structure consists of three parts: the setup, confrontation, and resolution. The setup is where the story is established, the characters are introduced, and the conflict is introduced. The confrontation is where the protagonist faces challenges and obstacles that prevent them from achieving their goal. The resolution is where the conflict is resolved, and the story concludes.
Welcome back! We're going to go straight into Act 1 with AI assistance. However, we're not going to use AI assistance for everything, because that might just be a little bit too much. A story needs to start somewhere before the story shifts into dramatic alterations. We already have an idea that Sandy loved his daughter. Was his relationship with Mary just as equally loving? My story wants to know if Sandy was happily married to Mary. Did Mary have an occupation? How did she die? Is it relevant to the story? More importantly, how did Murray die? Does Sandy have a job? If so, what is it? Did Mary leave something behind that is significant to the way that Sandy feels about Murray or his previous relationship with Mary? Of course, you can add so much more to this list of questions. I'm going to ask AI to give me some different variations of these questions, and I'll formulate my own conclusions for the rest. It's a great idea to have input into your story whenever you feel strongly about its direction and its points. Okay, AI, list unusual ways that children die in country towns of Australia. I know, that's a bit heavy, but let's put this in and see what happens. We are storytellers after all. Okay, so AI did not respond with a favourable answer. And this could be a good indication that humans might be better served at dealing with emotional and sensitive topics. We can try and rephrase the question, but I'd rather come up with something myself that has a connection to the emotional beats of the story's premise and relatability to grieving. For example, was the child, Murray, part of a larger group in a dangerous activity? Also, who else was present at Murray's passing? I'm going to go back to my questions about specifics in Act 1. You know what I'm referring to. My story wants to know, I will be doing this to establish the following without AI. I have decided that Murray died from a lightning strike during a canoeing activity organized by her school. Sandy is a weather forecaster at the Bureau of Meteorology. Sandy and Mary were indeed happily married. Mary was a schoolteacher at Murray's school. Sandy spent a lot of time abroad doing research and weather predictions and had spent much less time with his wife Mary before her passing. Mary died from childbirth complications. Mary did leave something behind that is significant to the plot and antagonist, Felicity, who is a few years older than Mary. The item of most significance is a mobile phone. Now, these responses were purely derived from my creative intellect and literally took me a couple of minutes to decipher. One of the reasons for this is because I can relate to some of these points. For example, my grandmother on my mother's side had actually died when she gave birth to my mother. So you can see how I can correlate that information and put it inside my story. Screenwriters who don't exercise their creative mind will eventually lose it. And it's very difficult to go back to being creative when you've absolutely stopped for a period of time. Now we can see that we have jumped some squares because we used our higher intellectual intelligence rather than using AI to deliver some answers for us. How and why Felicity is deeply involved with disrupting Sandy's life by pretending to communicate with his dead daughter's spirit will be unraveled later. For now, she simply needs to be present in Act 1, so the audience or the reader can get the sense that she is an important character to watch. Felicity first makes an appearance at Mary's funeral with another man, assumed to be her living partner or husband. Let's have a look at some of the things that we can incorporate into Act 1 without AI. I jotted down some scenarios which did not take that long at all. I have an opening scene, which often sets the mood and tone of the film. In this film example, I might use a sharp orange sunrise hitting the rooftops of old churches and gravestones in an old cemetery. You will often find that the main character is introduced early into the world that they occupy. I will have Sandy and Mary, who appear to be in love, but they don't see each other as often as they would like. They live in a large historic town in Australia called Warwick. So these are the things we've already established. We get a sense of who they are and we start connecting with them emotionally. This doesn't mean we must like them. It simply means we care enough to watch the film or read the screenplay. Sandy seems to go on work trips a lot. Mary is busy with her teaching career at a primary school, but we get a sense that she feels lonely. We will use this loneliness emotion to help the audience connect emotionally with Mary. Perhaps we would like the audience to be attached to Mary in some way. We see them interact in their ordinary world and start making opinions about them in our own minds. Sandy seems like a good bloke, but does he really need to go to so many trips away from Mary? The viewer might ask, what does he really get up to when he is away on these trips? Mary appears to genuinely care about her students and has a gentle, nurturing nature. She does things for them, like comforting if they feel anxious, and spends extra time with them to help them understand aspects of academic work. But in Act 1, Something dramatic happens that disrupts this ordinary world. This is often called the inciting incident, as we have already established before. A decision has to be made, and in this case it will be Sandy. Let's assume that Sandy continues to do the work that he is doing after the incident occurs. Alright, let's just stop there. There is no story here. There is no reason for an audience to care about the story at all. To try and make this story interesting, Sandy must take path Y and move into Act 2. Otherwise, there is no conflict or goal or turning points or a reason to care about what happens next or the characters themselves. Audiences want to see the fun and games in the extraordinary world of Act 2. As you can see, we have now progressed further and given the audience a reason to care about our characters. We have also started to outline our story before it becomes a script. Many screenwriters find outlining their story is helpful. It's a critical blueprint to see the pieces fit and give opportunity to play with scenes and scenarios of actions that push our story along. Some writers just prefer to write the premise or logline and jump straight into screenwriting, which is not always a productive course to take because many opportunities could be missed with a good shuffle of ideas. I'm going to ask AI to work with what I have so far. I want it to create an opening scene that incorporates some of these parameters that we have so far in Act 1. It's important to establish characters and the inciting incident, which is in the death of the partner. Also, one of the themes, which is dealing with the loss and moving on, hopefully. Please pause the video and have a read of what I put into the AI. Okay, AI, summarize and outline the following elements for Act 1 of the screenplay in present tense and create the mood of love, mystery, and loss with the following characters. Even though I have already established the given circumstances, I just want to speed things up and tighten the Act 1 story section in a more readable format for further development. It did not take long for AI to respond. With this scenario, the response was not exactly what I was hoping for because it leaves out many details. However, I did ask it to summarize, which it did. I will input a different prompt and keep the original in the AI database so AI can recognize the connection and give me an expanded version of my previous input. AI, create a story using all characters and their situation in present tense. I want an emotional portrayal of the circumstances with beats and plot twists. Let's see what happens now. As you can see, the response is a little bit different now. Please pause the video and scrutinize the content of the output. So what did you think? I personally think there's a bit more meat in the game now, but as you can see, it has many holes in it still. The timelines are not correct, and I do not intend on Mary being pregnant until after some time. All this will need to be corrected before we can move on to either Act 2 or Act 3, depending on what workflow works best for you. I will give AI one more prompt for this section to be tidied up, and let's see if that helps. AI, create the story using all the characters and their situation in present tense, but use a 5-year window of time to reveal the story. The pregnancy reveal comes after the package is delivered to Mary. I want an emotional portrayal of the circumstances with beats and plots. And AI is doing its thing, but let's pause the video and have a look at the output. Let's see what you think. You'll notice the placement of acts now. This still works because I will simply use them as beats or turning points or story segments or other important scenes. It doesn't really matter because as the original story creator, I understand that my purpose here is to get Act 1 to a stage of satisfaction so I can continue mapping out the rest of the story. This will do for now, but I will have to make some technical changes, such as the tense. For example, 5 years ago. That will come back to screenwriting experience and understanding how the screenwriting process and documentation ought to be presented, which you will find out later in this course as well. Moving on. Some screenwriters prefer bullet points, so let's try this. AI, write it in present tense and bullet points. This is pretty good, but again, check for accuracy. For example, 5 years later, Sandy is still grieving Mary's loss, but Murray brings the light to his life. Emma and Murray wave goodbye to Sandy as he leaves for a new job. This is not exciting. We are better off leaving Act 1 at a question for the audience. Will Sandy keep his promise and change his job or home situation so he can care for Murray? Hopefully, this will encourage viewers to care about what happens next in Act 2. You know, like the fork in the road. And find the characters interesting, especially the mysterious character, Felicity. The more questions an audience has that is relatable to character and plot, the more they are likely to be emotionally invested in the journey with these characters. My AI training ground continues, as does everyone else's. It could be in the way that we pose the question or we give the instructions. One of the most important things to consider is what is more beneficial to my story. Now, is it to learn how to use AI language more effectively, or is it to use my intellectual intelligence, my HII, to skim past the nuances of artificial technology? So far, we have used AI as a tool to help us develop our story concept and significant events in Act 1. We have an inciting incident, but we don't have the other impactful event that turns this story from a tragedy, a family tragedy, to a high-impact psychological drama thriller. At this point, the challenges for our protagonist, Sandy, are high, but the stakes are not high enough. He must deal with the change of something like financial pressures, solo parenting, keeping Murray safe, providing ongoing support, dealing with emotional issues, and the list goes on. When tragedy hits a second time with the loss of Murray when she is 9 years old or thereabouts, I imagine that would come at a much greater cost to him on a personal level and that of the community as well, especially if he is someone implicated as causing her death. Before we go any further, let's understand the basics of Act 2 in this scenario and add it without AI. To save time and to also honor my writing voice, I'm just going to go with the flow of what my intuition tells me without overthinking it. Remember, Act 2 is why people watch films. This is the money section. It's the roller coaster ride that people pay a ticket for. My story wants conflict and turning points to interest readers and viewers in the beginning of Act 2. Now that you've read that, let's have a look at if AI can add more drama to this. AI. Using the following list of scenes, create a screenplay appropriate story that matches the drama, intrigue, and conflict of each section of action to make it more thriller-based and supernatural. OpenAI's response was poorly formatted. The end product is another reason why you should never trust an AI for final output, especially one that is not dedicated to the screenwriting process. The first thing that screams amateur is the formatting. This is going to be a spec script, and I will cover formatting later on in this course, so you can get more of an understanding of what that means. A potential script buyer would be looking at this and know that it's not professionally laid out. Think about if it hits the mark with you, or can you do better? If your answer is that you can do better, then clearly you don't need to rely on AI so heavily. What I'd like you to do is pause the video if you haven't done so already and have a read of the script. As you will notice, this particular AI is unable to understand the context of our story unless we input a huge amount of data, but it still won't match the nuances of a human feel. And take a look at this. Where did this come from? Sandy, Murray, and 2 other children are in a canoe, with Felicity in a single kayak behind them. The sky starts to darken, and Felicity notices the ominous clouds forming above. Clearly, we do not want Sandy to be in the canoe. Otherwise, there will be no mystery. Okay, so this is what we have so far. You will notice that we don't have a motive for Felicity to harm Murray. Now that's a huge hole in the plot, so let's fix that. Do you recall how Mary was lonely and she received a strange parcel from Felicity's son, let's call him Arnold, which he gave to her in class, and that contained a mobile phone. That's our clue to work with that scene, because if we don't address it in the story, our audiences will ask, what was that random scene all about? They might even walk out of the theatre. Every interaction or beat needs to push the story along. Don't leave the audience unsatisfied. We later learn that Felicity's husband was either a headmaster or he became one later on. My story wants to know, who sent Mary the package? Is it plausible that either Felicity did or the headmaster did, considering their son Arnold is the one who passed it on to her? What was Mary's relationship like with Felicity, if she had one at all? Would Mary be tempted to have an affair even though she seemed to be in love with her husband, Sandy? How did Mary really feel about her pregnancy? Was the reason that Mary wanted a child to not be alone? How far would she go to have a child? Why did Felicity seem to be a monster towards Murray when lightning consumed them on the lake? Can someone even survive a lightning strike? Yes, of course they can, and I know this from personal experience. So let's continue with the second act after the whiteout. I'm going to ask AI for some assistance. Okay, AI, in the following scenario, how might it be possible for one person to survive a lightning strike with minor injuries and the other does not? There are two people on a canoe during a storm. They are touching each other when lightning strikes. One person is fatally injured and the other survives. Please pause the video and have a read of AI's response. This is promising because AI has given me a reason to explore that it is possible for Felicity to survive by using the pathway of current explanation. I can include that Murray was touching a metallic paddle that was immersed in the water at the time, or had significant metal on her, maybe a whistle. The exact details are not important at the moment, but they can come later when we write the screenplay. Pressing on, this is where, tragically, Murray loses her life and Felicity's intention to harm her is revealed to the audience. This new information on Felicity's harmful intentions will be hidden from Sandy. This gives the audience further reason to keep reading or watching the film. They want to make sure that Sandy is aware and will be safe from her motive to harm. So why would Felicity want to harm a child? Let's see if AI can assist us here. AI, what are some of the reasons a woman might want to hurt another person's child? Okay, so please don't get me wrong. I do not like revenge type movies because I don't think it solves a problem in real life and it doesn't fulfill me as a viewer. However, if I blend revenge with jealousy, that might help make the movie more satisfying for viewers and me as a writer. Most audiences have either felt the destruction of jealousy or can relate to envy in some way. This brings us back to some previous questions our story wants to know. Things like, was Mary's loneliness enough to cause her to have an affair? Yes, there is a realistic situation that could happen in that way. What are Felicity's motives to harm someone else's child? This too can be through loneliness or lack of attention, but more specifically, revenge and jealousy. Who did Mary have an affair with? This story might be revealing itself more to us now, but we don't have to follow that narrative. Of course, it's Felicity's husband, the headmaster. This information can be concealed from the audience and from Sandy until Act 3 in the climax of the film. Now that we've got that sorted, we need to create more twists and perhaps a midpoint reversal in Act 2, a plot twist in the middle of the film that could take the story in a new direction, and maybe a new goal to chase. You'll notice that we don't need to use AI for every step of the screenwriting process, even though it's a modern tool. It is handy though when you would like some prompts to keep the fuel burning on the story. Murray's funeral will be placed, I imagine, at around 1/3 of the way through the film. The sooner the better, because this is where the story really unfolds and the tone changes to more of a thriller. My story wants to know what happens at the funeral. Lots of tears, I imagine. However, Sandy is emotionally numb and quiet. He is like a stranger at his daughter's funeral. Something has shifted in his personality. We understand quickly that he is guilt-ridden because he gave an incorrect forecast, one which might have contributed to the situation on the lake and the end of his daughter's life. How could Sandy possibly survive emotionally after this second tragedy? Well, maybe Felicity was the last person to see Murray alive and he gains comfort from her company. So how does Felicity react? Felicity explains to Sandy that it was a freak storm and gives him reassurances that it was not his fault. It was just nature being nature. Does Felicity become closer to Sandy, or does she step back? To make the story more interesting, I would have Felicity get closer to Sandy. This could be done by telling him that she dreamt of Murray and she wanted Sandy to know that she is with her mother now. Murray also stipulated that it was not his fault, and she will make him aware that he is still in her heart. Whether or not the dream is a lie, this is a great gateway for Felicity to introduce her psychic abilities to Sandy and infect his emotional vulnerability. How does community react to the death of Murray? They are divided. Many of the parents at the school were concerned that it could have been their child who was struck by lightning because of Sandy's poor weather forecasting. In the midpoint reversal, we see Sandy, who starts to see signs that Murray is around, and he shares much of his information with Felicity. Sandy becomes obsessed with communicating with his daughter, and sometimes Felicity will stay the night and she would channel Murray for Sandy's comfort. One evening, Sandy has a lucid dream and hears his daughter's voice telling him to answer the call. Sandy walks around the home in a dreamy, otherworldly state, hearing a mobile phone ring. He finds himself staring at a shoebox. It rings. At that moment, Sandy wakes up abruptly. Now we have what appears to be a mystery item and an actual connection between Sandy and his daughter's spirit. We also have an emotional connection between Sandy and Felicity, which could pave the way for a dangerous relationship. My story wants to know, is this the beginning of a communication between Sandy and Murray? Is the shoebox an actual thing? Who does the shoebox actually belong to? Is the ringing coming from the same mobile phone that was given to Mary? Now, to say yes to those questions, we need to establish one thing. When Mary passed away, Sandy left all her belongings intact. All her clothes are still hanging up where he left them in the wardrobe. This places the shoebox within reach of Sandy during his awakening hours. Remember, it has to make sense. Now we find that Sandy is shifting gears and beginning to question his own sanity. He is also opening slowly to the possibility that there is indeed a veil being lifted between him and his daughter, and she is directing him to something that he still needs to work out. This is where I will ask AI for some guidance. I'd like to see if I can blend weather forecasting with psychic abilities. AI, give me a list of 6 scenarios of how a weather forecaster can delve into psychic abilities and make a correlation between both of them. You may, of course, pause the video now and read the response from AI. That was actually helpful. It probably saved a lot more time than Googling it. So I'll try and seek some relevant situations where communication can occur between the dead and the living. AI, give me a list of 6 scenarios of how a deceased person can communicate with a living person in order to warn them of a danger from a close companion who is not what she seems. We can certainly use these scenarios to validate and populate our screenplay in Act 2. This can be done later, and we'll use these for reference. My story wants to know, how will Sandy become suspicious of Felicity? Will Sandy become more receptive to the messages he is getting during his sleep from Murray? What is going to be the turning point incident when Sandy makes a full realization that Felicity is a fraud and extremely dangerous? AI, give me a list of scenarios that determine or indicate that someone claiming to have psychic abilities is a fraud and is using deception to harm another individual. Okay, there are a couple of things here that we can also consider incorporating into Act 2 to keep the flow of ups and downs in motion. Again, we can use these kinds of options later when we get into the details of the story. In order to have Act 2 almost accomplished for a basic outline of turning points, my story wants to know, did Sandy actually find a ringing shoebox with a mobile phone in it? Yes, I believe he did, but the phone inside wasn't ringing. Felicity was ringing the door buzzer, and that's the warning sign he heard. What was the key last thing that made Sandy suspicious of Felicity's motives? Felicity went to touch his hand, and then Sandy had a vision of Murray's face looking startled in the canoe. He saw flashes of how it played out. Then he saw Felicity's hand holding back Murray and keeping her in danger. Excellent! Now we can complete a draft outline for Act 2, thanks to AI technology's assistance uncovering some scenarios and possible facts. What I'm going to do now is I am going to hand over the final outline for the story. I have gone ahead and I have created the third act as well to save time. Of course, you can continue with this AI process to develop your story if you wish to do that. I don't wish to do that because I would rather do it organically with the help of AI from time to time. This is a downloadable file so you can have a really good look at it. Please pause the video in the sections that you want to have a look at. Otherwise, just read the actual document itself. Now that we have an outline that includes solid foundations of the 3-act structure, rising action, turning points, and beats, we are starting to put a unique story concept together. It is a bit rough and needs an edit, but the essential storytelling components are there to rearrange and revise further. AI helped a little, but it did not produce the essential human emotional connectivity. We did this on our own by pulling in from human experiences and psychological reasoning. Of course, we still need to craft the screenplay with the overview so far, but it is starting to resemble a body of work that one can suggest is my intellectual property. I essentially created it with enough meat on it to separate the artificial intelligence from my personal analytical intelligence, my higher intellectual intelligence, should I say. I will now experiment with our next AI resource in the next lesson. My attempt will be to have AI rewrite the outline of a story and create a short synopsis from it that we can work with. Welcome back to the pre-script puzzle. Now I will experiment using our AI resource. My attempt is to have AI rewrite the outline of our story and create a short synopsis from it, one that we can work with. This will only be an example of what a synopsis might look like if you put it through AI. A synopsis for a screenplay is a concise summary of the main elements of a story idea. This includes its plot, characters, and themes. It is typically created in the early stages of developing a screenplay, before the actual script is written. The purpose of a synopsis is to provide a clear overview of the story's key points, and to help writers, producers, and other collaborators understand the concept and potential of the screenplay. It serves as a blueprint for the project, helping to convey the essential aspects of the story and its appeal in a brief and accessible format. Because we only have an outline, we can expect that AI process will deliver a short synopsis. How short? Well, we're going to find out. Typically, a film synopsis ranges in length from 1 to 3 pages, depending on the requirements of the project, but we'll get into that more later. I put the entire outline into ChatGPT to see what it comes up with. I removed the headings and kept everything paragraphed so the AI keeps the story in focus. This is the result of that input. The story follows Mary and Sandy, a married couple, in a series of moments that depict their lives together. Mary is a schoolteacher, and Sandy appears to travel frequently for work. Throughout the story, Mary and Sandy's relationship is strained, and Mary is often seen alone at home. Later in the story, Mary gives birth to their daughter, Murray. Mary passes away, and Sandy becomes a single parent to Murray. Sandy adjusts to his role as a single parent and receives support from the school community. Felicity, a fellow parent, offers to babysit Murray, and they bond. The school organises a camping and canoeing trip where Sandy appears on the local news to encourage outdoor recreation. While on the trip, a tragedy occurs. Okay, this is written okay, but it is not the entire story and certainly lacks a climatic ending. Keeping the original input in AI, I'll try a follow-up instruction. AI, create a one-page synopsis from the entire story overview, keep it in present tense, and separate the acts. Please pause this video and have a look at AI's response. As you can probably tell, something clearly went wrong. Maybe your experience with AI was much better than mine? I hope so. Maybe you rephrased your instruction to AI and got a much better response than I did. It's not over yet. Please continue this course because now we're going to dive into other aspects of screenwriting.
This Earth woman needs my help. Hey, Earth lady.
Whoa! Hey, spaceman. I've never seen you in my meditation before.
You are safe. I am here to save you from the illusion of the real world.
What do you mean?
You'll see. You'll be working with Goran, helping the visionaries become the best screenwriters they can possibly be. He's a bit strange, but I sense you can take it. Are you ready?
Sure. Where's my crystal?
Oh shit. Sorry. I swallowed it. We call them karma digestives back home. Don't worry though, I will pass it out in about 111 Earth years. It will be really polished by then.
Seriously? Well, I guess I'm ready to explore alternative states of reality then.
That's the spirit. Okay people. You know what to do. We'll see you in the next lesson.
So what do you need me to do?
Put your arms up in the air like this and sway like a praying mantis.
Like this?
Yeah, you've got it. Now roar like a tiger.
Roar.
Pathetic. Never mind. Meow like a kitty instead. That will get you there too.
Meow.
Here we are, in AI land again.
Are you sure it's not La La Land?
I liked that film. Have you seen it, Ally?
I don't know what you're talking about. Is there a film about Pluto's Vapor Valley?
No.
Those Pluto puppies like a good dose of natural gas with their mating ritual.
That sounds unfortunate.
No, not really. It's the only time they can look at each other and avoid vomiting.
Seriously?
Hey, now that's a great documentary idea. What do you think, Goran?
Yeah, but let's just keep it in our back pocket for now.
Yeah, maybe we should stay focused on the rest of the screenplay development first.
About that, let's look at some AI options to help us produce results for our Whispers of Warwick screenplay.
Can we look at some different free options to see what it creates?
You read my mind.
Tell me something I don't know.
Let's dive into our first AI site and check out the landscape. Okay, here I am in ChatGPT again. Why am I here? Well, I tried putting an outline of Whispers of Warwick into an AI screenwriting program, and this message popped up. I mean, we have done the hard yards in our story construction so far, so I thought having a few pages of the story outline will be enough to fuel the AI to draft a screenplay. But that doesn't seem to be the case. This AI prefers a shorter synopsis rather than a structured framework to work with. So I said, hey, ChatGPT, create a synopsis based on our outline to feed the screenwriting AI baby.
That makes little sense.
It's quite common. AI is not exactly a cognitive thinker, and therefore something that seems simple to a human brain is a short circuit to the algorithm.
So it doesn't take a holistic approach to problem solving then?
You know it?
AI crunched the information it had in this free version, and it did this. After filling in the boxes with the name of the screenplay and genre options, it spat out 2 pages of script. This is not even enough to fuel a short film.
Dismal? But maybe the paid version produces better results.
That might be true, but I have little confidence in that.
Can it do anything else?
Let's find out. It looks like it generates a shot list of sorts.
It says storyboard.
Yeah, you're right, Ally. Let's have a quick play to see what it does. Okay, let's use a wide shot. This description of the scene is already in place.
Oh, I see. The drop-down gives you a variety of styles. So can we see what some of those would look like?
Of course. That's cinematic. That's digital art.
I think the photographic one is quite good.
Do another one with a medium shot.
Okay, what about this?
Ooh, that looks cleaner.
And this?
That is the best yet.
That reminds me, there is a shot list template in the downloads for you. So please check it out. It has some old school essentials if you plan on shooting a script yourself.
What's this?
I thought I'd share this site so screenwriters can see how far the AI revolution in film industry has gone in today's marketplace. You'll notice that some of these movies are listed quite high in IMDb.
It seems Scriptbook is using AI for script analysis and box office forecasting, claiming an 87% accuracy in predicting financial performance.
Wow, that's a huge number.
Keep in mind that while the claim is about AI accuracy, it's possible that human expertise is involved in refining or validating the predictions made by the AI.
Absolutely. And remember that historical wins, such as the Disney films, does not mean that success is assured tomorrow. There are so many factors at play, including changing business models, audience lethargy of the same old recycled stories, and political factors.
That's why humans have free will and robots have limited data.
Well said, Ally. I like that.
So which website is next?
Livy AI. I put the usual parameters in and filled the boxes as requested. However, I wanted to save time and not add to it by repeating what I had already prepared earlier. This is the result regardless.
That's not so amazing. Next, please.
This AI screenplay generator site is called SoCreate. It claims to handle proper screenplay formatting. I had to play around with it a bit, and I can see why some people would like to use the system. For example, if you are fresh to screenwriting and are not knowledgeable of proper industry screenplay formatting standards,
And we recommend you do become confident in formatting.
then this site has its appeal and benefits. In our particular situation, where we already had the bones of the story and its characters, I just don't feel it's productive to punch in all the finer details. We are not starting from zero. We have meat in the game already, so I'd prefer another method that enhances what we already have.
That makes sense, because otherwise it's like starting a new story all over again and just wasting time.
Sure, Claire? And we all know time is a real thing, right?
Well, it is for us, Ally. Well, at least that's what my body clock thinks.
Yeah, I agree. Creativity is a now thing as much as it is a historical thing and a future thing. The art of saving time means you can create more art. I must say, I do like this feature in SoCreate. It is when you want to download a script that you've already created, you can do so in the system and then it will populate to advance your script even further. So that's awesome.
Are there any other AI sites to visit?
There sure is, and I had a play with some, but they are still working on certain features and they're not working properly. In the end, I went back to the motherboard of AI to save some frustration.
Which is?
As we saw from our last attempts, having a structured and cooperative workflow with an AI to craft a properly formatted complete screenplay is currently a bit unimpressive.
This is especially true for the free options available. What is so funny, Claire?
You said time.
Good pickup. You caught me in a human moment. Ha ha ha.
All right, Goran. We need to at least have something down in terms of a screenplay for Whispers of Warwick. So what's your solution for incorporating this into an AI-assisted learning model?
As much as I would like to have a script spat out in perfect form and in record time by an AI bot, it all comes back to two things.
I know what he's going to say.
We must use our higher intellectual intelligence.
And what else, Claire?
We need to train the AI and direct it to specific tasks.
You got it, kitty cat?
Yeah, that's it. And we also need to reverse engineer our strategy by understanding the limitations of the AI workflow. Look at this question I posed to ChatGPT, for example. As you can see, we need to work around some limitations if we want to get the most out of these word crunches. But not all is lost though, because we know so much more about the screenwriting process than we did when we started this masterclass.
You're not wrong. Wow, I've learnt so much.
Tell me one thing that sticks in your mind.
Structure is one. I mean, the 3 acts and the stuff that it's made up of that moves the story along. It's like surrounding myself in crystals and seeing a new world open.
That reminds me. That crystal you swallowed earlier came out earlier than expected. It appears the energetics of it didn't agree with my sole purpose. Here it is.
Thanks, Ally. Wow, it feels really different.
Yes. That's because the energies of humans who extracted it from the ground and sold it in the shops has been wiped clean during my ingestion process. It is your special mineral now.
That's so special. Can I hug you?
No. You cannot. You will turn into a pillar of stone.
Like the biblical thing?
You see now how every story has its origins from another story. Every experience is a different perspective of a collective consciousness.
Oh.
So, Claire, that brings us back to story structure being a key component in narratives. Because we know that ChatGPT, for example, is not exactly designed for creating feature film screenplays, we can reverse engineer that knowledge and help it craft feature film screenplays by using micro steps in the components of structure to create turning points and interesting bits to keep the audience engaged and push the story along. Take a look at this. This is what I mean. I'd like you, the person at home, to follow this with your own story concept that you have so far and push the boundaries of AI-assisted workflows. Please open something like a Word document so you can copy and paste some of the gems that you produce from this experience. Are you ready?
I am. Let's do this.
What I'm going to do first is to retrieve our outline that we created earlier and copy all the text from it. Then I'm going to ask AI to create a Dan Harmon story circle structure for each act and the overall screenplay outline. I simply paste the outline and see the results. You might be thinking, why am I doing this? Well, it's because I'm hoping that AI can produce more structure within the structure. This will help us expand on the length of the screenplay whilst also holding on to some kind of quality and adding more flavor to the overall project. You'll notice that it gives me 2 columns. You simply click on the one that you wish to view. You can then alternate between them with the smaller numbers below. Please pause this video. Okay, now you try it with your own story idea. Please pause the video if you wish to do this right now. Alternatively, you can wait until later on and then go through the whole process again.
That's crazy.
Crazy? Good or bad?
As in time-saving good.
It can be, but remember not to just leave it to the AI assistant to finalize your story. Look over it carefully and make adjustments before moving on.
Did you change anything?
No, because I wanted to demonstrate each step with the minimum human interference to see what is produced using this method.
What's the next step?
Now we can start breaking it down into specific acts. It's important to remember that you are training the ChatGPT AI to use the data in this workflow by adding and changing details in each requested section. It does make mistakes, so you will need to inform it to stay on track. Alright, let's see how it does with Act 1. I have copied and pasted the results in Word. I used the Paste Unformatted Text option in this case. And you will notice that AI doesn't align things in industry formatting standards. Don't worry about that. We'll fix it later. We'll do this in a dedicated screenwriting software program. Please pause the video in all the data output sections that follow. Did you notice how it explains some things? We're not meant to explain anything in a script, are we? It might be a good reference for training though, especially with the AI, so I'll leave it in for now. Okay, it's your turn with your screenplay concept. Try it out, see what the results are for you. Please pause the video if you wish to do this now, or you can do it later as well.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Act 2 next?
That's right. Here's what that looks like. Please pause the video and check it out. Okay, this is probably where I need to make some kind of adjustment, because it looks like it's missing the second part of Act 2. Just to shake things up a little bit and expand on this more, I'm going to ask it to populate this section with a midpoint reversal. I'm hoping this will add more unpredictability to the standard tentpole moment, which can be a little bit boring for viewers. Please pause the video to see what this does.
Interesting. There is nothing like narrative experimentation.
Okay, screenwriters, now it's your turn with your screenplay concept. Find your results in the Act 2 workout. You have the option to pause the video if you wish to do this now. I hope you found some diamonds. Now for the final step in the act's structure, to help us create a feature film screenplay with enough meat in it for production. This is the same method as I used in other acts. Of course, you can refine these as you go or do it later. For example, you might like to try the Save the Cat beat structure or something else to populate your screenplay idea. It depends what you're really into and how much experimentation that you would like to do. I will just keep it pretty simple and still retain some encouragement from ChatGPT. Please pause the video in Act 3 to see what it produced. Now it's your turn, and remember, place all the information in a separate Word-like document and save it. Pause this video if you wish to do this now or continue with the course. If you were following along with your story concept, I hope you copied all the acts and it was a useful exercise.
Wow, that's a large body of work. Surely that's a short film right there, after some editing.
Absolutely. Look how far we've come since we had that blank canvas at the beginning of this course.
So can we put this information into a screenwriting program?
I can certainly do it in the program that I am using, which is Final Draft. Simply open up your software and create a blank script area. Then copy and paste the most relevant bits that form part of the screenplay structure. Once all that goes into the system, we can create that feature film by using all the information we have gathered in this course. Name it and save it. Using AI, paste the relevant sections from the script and ask for suggested results. This way, if you wish to continue using the AI method, you have a working partner that can help you achieve an original screenplay bit by bit.
What about you, Goran? Are you going to continue with the AI process to complete the feature film?
No, I don't think so. I think I will use my creative self to complete the Whispers of Warwick screenplay feature. I feel like I've wasted enough time on the AI platforms, so I'm just going to have some fun and nut it out later. I will talk more about this in the next lesson and discuss the future of this script further down the track in other lessons which you will have access to. However, before we end this session, we're going to ask AI to create a synopsis from the 3 acts and create a suitable document for pitching. Pause the video to see the results. If you want to give this one a go, please pause the video now.
Hey, Claire, are you okay? You look a bit out of body.
Ally, what's happening to her?
I think the crystal is too pure for her. She might need some heavy human energy to refocus.
Can you fix it?
I'll just visit her in her world and break this illusion of a parallel existence.
Okay, good luck with that, Ally. Hey, will I see you again?
I will be around, sleep paralysis or not. See you later, humans. Okay, kitty cat, it's time to go home.
Hello! The real Goran will pop in soon, so don't you worry about that. However, before he signs off, let's take a moment to put our screenplay that we have so far under a microscope. As I went through the script that ChatGPT offered, which I pasted into a master Word document for future reference, I certainly found many missed opportunities that I could have asked AI to expand on using its form of formatting a script. You will see here that some of those findings were expanded to give more script material rather than just explanation. I wanted to see how much visuals I could extract in this mining process. The problem is, as you can see, the story jumps in parts, and this leads to a narrative that is peppered with what the F moments, excuse my language. Despite this, if this AI thing is your thing, you could work with that and continue to train that AI to do your bidding for you. I roughly copied the relevant bits of the ChatGPT's complete screenplay versions that I had placed into a Word document and then pasted it into a blank final draft canvas. As you will see, Final Draft did a pretty good job at placing bits into a workable and methodical fashion. You will probably also notice that the formatting issues, as a consequence of the program trying to understand the AI's work, will look a little bit odd. Lucky for us, we know about the formatting process and can whip those errors back into line using industry standards. Another thing you might have noticed is all the parentheticals in use under every single character almost before the dialogue section. Although it's technically correct in most cases to do this, it isn't professional. It is way too much, and it suggests that more needs to be done in the way of show rather than tell aspects. These parenthetical sections, or Rileys, could be used to your advantage though, because you can expand on either action or dialogue to make the scenes more impactful and do away with the need of the parentheticals in the first place. You could ask AI to rewrite those sections without the parentheticals or Rileys to see what it produces. What does impress me is that within the parentheticals, AI has used lowercase letters, which is evident in the output. I thought perhaps it might try to use the first letter in uppercase, as when you start a new sentence, but it didn't do that, which was a nice surprise. Okay, so what's the verdict? Well, it did do 13 pages of script, even though I didn't push it too hard. But with a little bit of push, it could absolutely create a feature film length screenplay. However, that does not mean that it'll be a good one. Okay, so we're at this stage of our course, but what next? This screenplay is going to be completely overhauled with a human. That would be the real Goran, if you hadn't noticed already. The screenwriting journey is a life of contrasts, and I hope you have found some real diamonds in this maze of narrative tunnels. Don't forget to download all the resources to help you navigate the tricky sections. More will be added, so keep coming back to this space and keep learning and keep building your knowledge bank. This is where my journey ends. Unless Human Goran has other plans for me, we'll wait and see. Be super proud of what you've achieved. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me, and I'll see you in another universe. Bye for now.
Claire? You are an earth creature who requires part of your soul to return to its body to function. You cannot be pure energy, until your body is given up completely and carbonizes this planet. Yes, you are a diamond in the making, but your time to experience the hot flushes of this terrain is not over yet. Let go of the power of the crystal and return to your earthly experience now. Right now.
It just goes to show it doesn't matter, what you're into, like whether you're into crystals or whether you're into, I don't know what he's into, but whatever he's into, learning about milking cows, I don't know. But it doesn't matter because you're the visionary, and the whole point is that you have a message to say, and I appreciate that you are moving forward in your studies. And please research some more and just see what else is out there. And I will see you around at another time. However, please keep a lookout because we'll be doing some extra activity. I will be updating. That's right. We will be, won't you? Yes. We'll be updating stuff. And okay, did you want to say something? No, I think he just wants to say he's in love. I think he's in love. Look at the way it looks. Oh, he's in love. He's a lover boy. All right, I'll leave it there. And yeah, again, super congratulations. Tell the world how freaking amazing you are and what you achieved because you deserve it. All right, bye-bye.
End. Until next time, Earth citizen friend.